Well, the sunglasses are out and that can only mean one thing. It is officially summer.
It is. So in this video, we're going to give you lots of tips and tricks of how to keep your van cool over summer, even if it is just for 2 weeks.
Yeah, let's jump inside.
So this van is our home, but obviously it is a van. It's a metal box, which means in hot weather, in the sun, it does get very warm. Last year, it actually got up to 44 degrees in here, which was completely fine for us because we could open the doors, we could air it out, but with him we cannot have it getting up to that temperature. So oh, you sneezed as well.
You're getting comfy.
You're interrupting what I'm saying. So this year it is vital that we keep the temperature of the van down, and we think we've got quite a few tips and tricks of how to do that.
Now, it probably goes without saying, but one of the biggest ways to actually keep the van cool is pretty simple. Park it in the shade. If you're parked in the middle of a field that's got or the sun is going to be beaming down on all day, the van's just going to get hotter and hotter throughout the day. Whereas if you're somewhere like this, it's quite shaded, that's blocking the sun, obviously it's not actually going to heat up the van. Where we are today as well, there is shade pretty much all the way around us as well. So even when that sun moves around, it's still not going to get too hot. But it is worth bearing in mind that if you are, say, parked under a tree, the sun is going to move, so it is worth thinking about. If you need to move during the course of the day just to help keep the van a bit cooler, then it's worth that little bit of extra effort, because it can make 10-15 degrees difference, especially if you've got a lot of windows in your van. Obviously the sun going through the windows, it acts as a bit of a greenhouse. So yeah, definitely worth thinking about that. But also we're going to give you a few tips if you do have a lot of windows, just how to keep the van cooler even if you are in a sunny sort of area.
So next thing is thermal blinds. Now these are really important because if you have any glass windows in the van, then that lets in a lot of heat. I can even feel just by touching the window now, that is really, really hot. So Taco does like the blinds to be up, but when it's really, really hot, we do put them down just like this. They just unclip, put down like that. He's not going to like it, but that keeps a lot of the heat from coming in through that window. These blinds are really good. We have the ones from Wanderbug and the thermal blackout ones as well, which means at night people can't see in, which is obviously what we want. So yeah, they magnet onto the van as well. They just go onto the metal of the van, so they're really easy to put up, take down, and clip up and clip down as well. So yeah, we love them.
We've also got the thermal blinds in front as well, haven't we?
Yes, so in the front cab, even though we have this separation here, the cab still gets very, very hot. So we have the foil reflective windscreen covers? Windscreen
reflectory things.
You all know what I'm talking about. So yeah, we have them in the front as well, because even though there's a separation, if the cab gets really, really hot, which it obviously does when the sun is beaming down on the van, then the heat will still come through. So the cooler we can keep the van, the better.
That makes a massive difference as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A night and day difference.
And as you can see, Taco does not want the blinds down.
He wants to see out. So one of the biggest things to actually keep the van cool is ventilation. You've probably heard it so many times, but honestly, it makes such a big difference. Now, at the start of last year, we only had our max air fan, which is great, but with no other sort of ventilation, no air coming through from anywhere else, it's almost a bit of a vacuum and it doesn't actually pull air through from anywhere. So we realised quite quickly that we needed to get a skylight done at the back. So we had that installed, and honestly the difference as soon as having that installed was amazing. It probably dropped the overall temperature by about 10 degrees. So yeah, definitely have as much ventilation as possible. We could still do with more, to be honest. You can get little side windows, or even on the door windows you can have those where they open as well. So have as much ventilation as possible, and that really is going to bring the temperature down. Right, the next thing is fans. You can never have enough fans. Now we've got this one from Wolf. It's actually a fishing company, but the nice thing with this is you can actually put cold water in the top of it. So if I just chuck some of this in, the idea of it is it's a fan, but it also acts as a mister, and Taco actually really likes it. Obviously you put the top back on, but you've got 3 settings of fan, but then you'll see you've also got mist coming out of it. You've got some lights and bits, you can change colour of it as well. So yeah, it's a really cool little fan, and by putting the cold water in it, it acts almost as if, like, a lot of people put a cold towel behind it to draw the cold water through it. So it acts really well, and it does make quite a difference. It's not aircon, but it's kind of somewhere in between a normal fan and aircon. But like I say, you can't have enough fans. We've got another small fan at the back of the van as well, which is just a small round one. So it just keeps that movement around and kind of links back in with that ventilation. If you've got somewhere that can be, the air can be drawn out, like the max air fan, then by moving loads of air around really does help out.
So just a quick one, if you do have animals, whether it's a dog or cat or ferret or anything, then cool mats are vital when it's a hot day. So they can just lay on this, and as soon as pressure is applied to this, it just cools them down. And it's just that one little thing that if it's a bit warm inside the van, then they can just come and have a lay down on the cool mat.
It's not just for animals either. I've actually sat on that when I've been editing there.
Yeah.
And it makes such a big difference.
Yeah, so Luke's been stealing it from Taco, so he can have a cool bum. But yeah, they're really, really good. Highly recommend them if you have animals.
Right, so another thing, it's not really a way of keeping the van cool, but it is something that we use quite often just to make sure the van is at a good temperature. And this is a little Govee wireless thermometer. So this is really useful because we can connect to this from anywhere when we're out of the van, because it is all done through Wi-Fi. So it's showing that the van is at 23.3 degrees. So we know that's nice and cool, and Taco's going to be absolutely fine. If we see that starting to go up, then we know that, okay, it's time to get back, get everything opened up, get everything cooled down, or move into a different spot, a shadier spot, that sort of thing. So it's a really good little indication that you can keep a track on things even if you're not actually in the van. And they're dirt cheap as well. I think it was about 20 quid, and like I say, we can see it from anywhere, so it's really useful.
So our final tips are for really if you haven't got a van yet, or you're thinking about getting a van or you want one, these are the tips that we wish we knew before we even got the van.
Yeah, so our first mistake, I guess, is we bought a white van. And we thought, oh, we make it all nice and have it painted in a really nice dark grey. It makes a big difference. It probably went up by about 10 degrees over a summer. Yeah.
We didn't realise how much difference it would make. The first year we spent it in the van, it was white, and the second year it was grey, and it was
night and day difference.
A lot worse when it was grey.
Yeah, so definitely bear that in mind if you are thinking of changing the colour of your van. If you're thinking, oh, that looks nice in a nice dark colour, just think about it a little bit.
Yeah.
If you're not too bothered about the heat, then it doesn't really matter too much. But
Taco, what are you doing?
And then the second thing to think about if you are right at the early stages of building a van is just make sure you insulate it well. Obviously everyone talks about insulation over winter, don't they? But it really does make a difference in summer as well. Yeah. So it's going to keep you nice and cool in the summer, but it's also going to keep you a lot warmer in winter. So that is one of the most important things if you're right at the start of your van journey, I guess.
Yeah.
But I guess that's kind of all our tips rounded up, isn't it?
Yeah.
So hopefully that's helped you guys, even if you take some of these tips and put it into your own van and just help to keep yourself a little bit cooler for the, like you say, the 2-week heat wave that we have once a year. Yep. then hopefully, it's been useful for you. And if it has, then please obviously do subscribe to the channel so we can make more and more videos like this. But for now, I think that's us done for the week.
Yep.
So we'll see you next week, hopefully.
Okay. Dreamies.